Hey everyone, before I take Randy out to the desert, make sure you follow us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Rating us 5 stars and leaving a review really helps us out. So for those of you who have done so already, we appreciate you. Enjoy today's episode. Make sure you stick around to the end to figure out what's coming up next. Now onto the show.
Welcome to Read, Watch, Play, your dive into the stories we love and how they're adapted. This week, we're in Sin City, episode 40, covering Casino. I'm Randy Berridge, and I'm here with Nick Hinkson, who keeps telling me there's 3 ways to podcast around here. The right way, the wrong way, and the way I do it. Here we go.
Nice.
Yeah, that line always sticks out to me in this movie. It's like the only quote I remember from Casino.
The quote that's been sticking with me, because I watched this a couple days ago, the quote that's been sticking with me is when the local county commissioner comes to get his brother-in-law's job back.
Yeah.
And De Niro goes, I can't do it. He's incompetent. He's like a moron.
Yeah.
He just lays into him, right to his brother-in-law.
It kind of reminded me of Paulie in Sopranos when they're at the Chrissy intervention, and he's like, "You're an embarrassment to yourself." That's what it kind of reminds me of. Yeah, that one gets me. It's a funny scene that stuck out to me a lot too. What are we covering here today?
Yeah. Actually, I think both of them have the exact same title. We're covering another Nicholas Pileggi book, Casino, which was adapted by Marty S. and also called Casino. The book came out in, 93? And then the movie came out in 95?
Both 95.
Both 95.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they were more so co-collaborating on this process and wanting to do something again together. So I think it was timed up at the same time. For those who don't know, Casino, it's a crime drama based on a true story of the rise and fall of the Las Vegas casino empire in the 70s and early 80s. The film follows Sam Rothstein, Ace, who is Rosenthal in the book. All the names are changed. I'm assuming they didn't get the rights from these people to use their real names. And De Niro plays a meticulous gambling expert sent by the Chicago mob to run the Tangiers casino. While he's achieving great success, things spiral out of control due to his volatile friend and enforcer, Nicky Santoro, who is Tony Spilatro in the book, whose violent behavior draws unwanted attention, and his troubled relationship with the glamorous hustler, Ginger McKenna. This film explores the themes of greed, power, betrayal, corrupting influence of money, set against the backdrop of the mob's waning control over Las Vegas. Nick, are you a Vegas guy?
I've been known to Vegas.
Yeah, give me your you into casinos, you into Vegas? What's your
I am.
feeling on
I love the over the top glam, glitz, lights on my everyday life, but for 48 hours I do.
Yeah.
I also love gambling. The older I get, the less I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Though I think it's probably wise to gamble less.
Yeah.
Do you, but I'm just saying. But no, I love it. And I think, it's changed a lot since even when we started going. I think the first time I went to Vegas, I was 21. Went, maybe 4 times in my 20s. But each time I went, and I went once in my early 30s, it's changing. It's not about you can't find cheap tables. Everything's about how much money can we get from you right now. The restaurants are $1,000 a dinner. I'm like, I don't want this life anymore. It's not what it used to be. It's not the same type of fun. So
sound a lot like Ace at the end of this movie.
He wasn't wrong.
Yeah. What is your ideal length of a Vegas trip?
I think
because I feel like anything over 3 days, you're probably ready to get out of there.
Yeah, you're way too long. But I went to a bachelor party there once, and I got in at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
on Saturday morning. I couldn't make Friday night. And I flew out at 9 p.m. on Sunday. And I remember even thinking then, this was almost a little bit too long to be in Vegas.
My intro to Vegas, I think the first and only time I've been there was for a wedding. And I woke up kind of a little bit, not jet lagged, but I woke up early because of the time change. So I think it was 5 a.m. I was kind of like wide awake. 8 a.m. East Coast. I think it's a 3-hour time change from East Coast. I'm not sure. And friend and I were like, let's just go on a walk. Like, just get up. We'll go on a walk, get some breakfast. And you know those like stairwells that lead over the strip because you can't just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cross the strip. You know, they don't have crosswalks. You go over top of it. Sun is rising. I'm walking over this, bridge thing, and there's just a guy there in a dress shirt, a blazer. He has his dress pants off and he's holding them in his hand and just swinging them in a circle, just staring at the sun. It's 5 a.m. And it was an amazing intro to Vegas where I'm like, I just want to know what I would pay a lot of money to see the last 12 hours of your life. Like how we got
Yeah.
from last night suited up to standing on this bridge swinging your dress pants in your underwear. Like what went on here? So I felt like that set me up for my first Vegas trip perfectly. I'm actually not or I was going to say this for rapid fire, but I can just pew pew it to you now. What's your go-to game?
Roulette.
I love
Also like
roulette.
craps a lot,
T-
but
Man after my own heart. I don't understand craps, but I just want to be a part of it.
I understand enough to get myself in trouble.
Yeah. They're the two tables that it just seems like people are having the most fun. And I
'Cause you're not
appreciate
playing
that.
against anybody.
Yeah.
You're all playing together.
Yeah. It's all a good time. I really like that. And any movie, it's always the table where like the most is happening. I think of The Hangover or Rain Man. Like
Yeah.
fun things are happening. Vegas Vacation. I don't know. I'm not as much into blackjack or poker.
I'm not into poker. I I
It's so
respect
slow.
it. I understand the hustle behind it and knowing what to do and playing other people. And I think on a surface it seems really cool. And then I play, and like an hour later, I am so bored.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
just not fun for me. I don't know what it is. If you like it, good for you. I'm not trying to knock poker, just not my thing.
Yeah. I also find when I'm the only times I've gambled or gone to casinos, it's usually as part of an event you were talking about. It's a bachelor party or you're just, going for fun with friends. It's a social event. And I feel like blackjack and poker are very antisocial games where not only do you have like your hard asses there who want to wear like AirPods and sunglasses while playing, but you just have people who are like playing against you and get all pissy when you don't make the right moves in blackjack. And I can't get on with that.
Yeah.
If that's what you like, that's okay, but not for me.
Nah, I like a little bit of blackjack.
It's a fun
Shuey,
concept.
Shuey, Mark, and I went for New Year's, the year we all turned 21,
Hmm.
and to Atlantic City. Not quite Vegas, but the Jersey best shot at being something cool. Um, and we found, I don't even remember what casino we were in, but we found like dollar blackjack. And that was a lot of fun because then we could just sit there getting hammered playing
Yeah.
like $20. And that was a lot of fun.
If you are with a crew who is predominantly the only ones at the table, it can be fun. Totally.
Yeah.
I just hate when you get that old person there who is, comes to the casino every week and is mad that you're betting against the book or screwing up their hand. I'm just like, bro, I don't care. I don't care what the book says. I'm here to have fun.
Dude, I sometimes this is, and I don't know if I should say this or not, but what me and some buddies did a few times when we wanted to get all of us on a table like that
Yeah.
is we'd send we'd pool some money, send one person in when they get a seat, and then just have them play the worst blackjack. Like hit on 17 bad. You know what I mean? Like just always
Yeah.
going for 21. Like you have 20, you have pocket kings, split them.
I like that.
Just wrecking everybody else's table. And then all the people that are trying to play serious, just get up and leave. They
Yeah.
don't, even if they know what you're doing or if they don't know what you're doing, either way, they're out and the seats open up and all your friends sit down and then you guys can just play however the fuck you
Yeah.
want.
They're probably watching on the eye in the sky like, what's going on here? Because this guy is playing so stupidly that we have to suspect something.
He split 20s 3 hands in a row.
I only have one other pew pew for you. What's your favorite Vegas themed movie?
Maybe The Hangover?
Yeah, I
I'm
was
trying
thinking
to think of like Vegas themed movies
Ocean's
too.
11 and The Hangover are like
Oh, that's right. Ocean's 11 is
1
Vegas.
and
Yeah,
2.
Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11 is tricky because it's not like they do a ton of really gambling in that movie.
Right. They're just robbing
They're,
casinos.
they're just in Vegas. But those two, A Hangover it was unbelievable when it came out. Took over the world. I love that
Trying to
movie.
think of other Vegas movies besides Casino, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned Vegas Vacation. It's funny at the bottom of the Wikipedia for this movie, there's also like see also it says list of
Yeah.
films set in Las Vegas is the one bullet, and the next one is list of films that most frequently use the word fuck. Those are the two calling cards of this. Yeah, I never saw like what's the card counting movie? Like 21 or something?
It's not bad.
I never
It's
saw it.
okay.
Get him to the Greek,
Austin
set in
Powers,
Vegas.
International Man of Mystery.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Rush Hour 2. There is a scene in Vegas. Obviously, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Leaving Las Vegas. Swingers. I like Swingers.
Con Air,
God.
Nicolas Cage classic.
Rain Man, we did mention that too. I love Rain Man. Rain Man's a great
Yeah.
movie. You got any pew pews?
How many blueberries do you like in your muffins?
You know, it's meant to portray De Niro as a hard ass, but I kind of understand where he's coming from. It's
I
not practical,
respect it.
but if you order a blueberry muffin and you don't get any blueberries in it, that would kind of suck.
Yes.
But I also don't like when they're all clumped up in one area. And it's like, I can't. And also, if you heat up that blueberry muffin, that blueberry nucleus turns into molten lava and just incinerates your mouth. Hate that.
If I wanted a blueberry filling, I would have gotten a blueberry pastry.
Yeah.
I wanted specks of blueberry throughout a muffin.
Yeah. It's like every bite, I just want a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you.
Uh,
All right.
book
Should we hit
discussion.
this?
Yeah, let's hit the
Yeah.
book. There's not much to say on the background. This was, Nicky Pileggi, again with Scorsese, published in 95, same year as the movie. True account, though we did mention they change all the names in the movie. Set in the 70s, 80s. The book version, it was Frank Lefty Rosenthal, sports handicapper, casino operator, and his buddy Tony Spilatro. And Pileggi, as we mentioned in the last episode with Goodfellas, investigative journalist, deep interest and knowledge of organized crime, kind of meticulously laying out the details and the procedure of how these schemes work, how the casino operates, and really telling the story of how the mafia was skimming millions from the casinos. This was I think the Chicago and the Kansas City mob were kind of the two main players in this. And so what did you think about the book? I'm assuming you listened to it.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I think the Nicholas Pileggi audiobooks have tremendous production value and it makes them super interesting. I mean, the audiobook's shorter than the movie. The audiobook's only 2 hours and 51 minutes. And that's if you listen to it on, normal 1.0 speed.
Yeah.
I listened to it on 1.65 speed and I think it was like an hour and 44. It took I went for a walk and I finished the book.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I like the way he tells the story. I like the way that it doesn't feel like you're following just certain characters, the way he builds out, that life or that time period as the main character. And then all these people are just chess pieces. And I think that makes it more like meta and interesting. I just really enjoy the way he does that.
Yeah. I had a weird relationship to this one because it was so short. It almost felt like a podcast. Like I listened to a 4-part podcast on it. And I hadn't listened. I'm trying to think of the last audiobook that I did for this show. I think it was when I was doing a double of reading American Psycho and listening to it, going back and forth. So it's been a while since I listened, and I had a lot of trouble keeping up with who was who with the names in this. I don't know why. That's not really a criticism of the book, but I had a lot of trouble following the story here. I knew Rosenthal because he was the only non-Italian name in this story, but I kind of just felt like it came and went through my ears, and I didn't take a ton away from the novel. And but I think I was just maybe not accustomed to the listening experience because I've been reading a lot lately. So I don't know. It didn't completely land for me, but like you said, it's so short that if you're interested in the casino and the mob life, this is something you can get in, get out pretty quickly on.
Yeah,
You have any
I don't
other
have much
big
else.
takeaways from the book? I mean,
No, I liked. I think it's worth listening to if you. And to your point, if you enjoy this world or you just have a even passing interest, this is not a bad place to start because it is so short. I think Nicholas Pileggi, like from an audiobook perspective, is where you go.
would you give it on Goodreads? Did you rate it?
I think I gave this one a 3, but commented that it's like really a 3.5. My criticism was that I wish there was a bit more detail in some things to what you said. But I mean, it's solid overall. It's slightly above average for an audiobook in general. I think it doesn't quite hit the same way that the Goodfellas, the Henry Hill story hit, but still solid.
Yeah, I think if I mean we always talk about you can't do the half ratings on Goodreads. I wish I could do half. I would probably go 2.5, and that's just for me, not an objective score. Just because it didn't grip me. I don't, I'm gonna have to figure out how to not regurgitate this point a ton throughout this. It is so hard not to compare this to Goodfellas, and the magnetism of the characters is just not the same.
Yeah.
And I felt none of the draw that I felt to Henry and Karen as I did with Cherry. I think her name is in the book, and Lefty. Like it just wasn't hitting the same in that regard. But I mean, I think that's the narrative of this movie coming right after Goodfellas too. So, any other comments, or do you just want to dive into the adaptation?
Let's just dive into it.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say on the movie either. This, like we already said, I mean, this was coming out in tandem with the book. They changed a lot of the stuff. Many of the scenes were shot at the Riviera Hotel and Casino. I am not familiar with what that is. I think I stayed at the Flamingo when I went to Vegas. And I think that's where our wedding party stayed. It was stood in for the fictional Tangiers Casino. Crazy thing is, Lefty was actually running 4 casinos, not just one. I think in the book, like
Yeah.
he
He was
was
big time.
he was working, and they just centralized it into one casino in the movie. They used real casino floor workers as extras. They filmed during off hours to add authenticity. I didn't even know there were off hours. I guess maybe non-peak hours is what that means, because casinos never close, right? In Vegas. It's
Yeah, no.
just a 24/7 spiel. Made 160 million worldwide on a 40 to 50 million dollar budget. It actually didn't do I thought it did worse in my recollection, just because it's always talked about as the little brother to Goodfellas. But I think it had longer legs than people expected. Its death knell was it came out on the same weekend as Toy Story in 95, which just
Oof.
rocked the film world. Nothing was making money but that. So yeah, I mean, what do you think of Casino the movie?
I think if I had to summarize it, it's a good movie. It came out too close to Goodfellas.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to come out that close to kind of a game-changing movie, like we discussed in the last episode,
Yeah.
you need to also be a game-changing movie, or you just put yourself behind the 8 ball. And I think one of the intentional differences here was, unlike in Goodfellas, where the world is the main character and Henry Hill's just kind of narrating us through what's happening, this story really focuses on like characters. It's a character-driven story. And I just think it made it really hard to live up to Marty's, last with Goodfellas.
Yeah.
It just hurt because of that. It's also really long. It's longer than the audiobook. It's a 3-hour movie, and that kind of, at a certain point, I was like, I don't need all the back and forth trips from Kansas City to here. Like, just cut out 20 minutes of this movie.
I agree with that. When we were talking about Goodfellas, we were kind of teasing Casino at the end. And I think I said that I really liked this movie at the end of that. And I hadn't actually probably watched this in 15 years. Watched this yesterday. I'm like, I'm not sure I actually like this movie. It's like
You didn't like it?
it's a good movie. It's like one of those movies where you're watching, you're like, this is good, and there's a lot of great things happening, and it's so hard not to compare, especially when we just did Goodfellas. Like, we're just off the back of that, which is one of my all-time favorites. And I'm not sure I love this movie at least as much as I thought I did, is
Okay.
maybe more of my takeaway. And I think the performances are great. Vegas is captured in a really fun way, and it's beautiful to look at on screen, and it feels exactly kind of like what Vegas is, or at least maybe what it was, I should say. But something just didn't quite click for me as a whole. And maybe I feel like hour 1 to 2, I kind of just really dropped off for me. And I'm trying to think of even what goes on in that second, you know, second hour of the movie. And I just don't really even know much of what we're getting there is drawing me in enough to the world like a Goodfellas did, where I'm just, regardless of the runtime, I'm enjoying so much spending time with these characters. I just didn't have that. And I don't know, but I was like, maybe I wasn't in the right mood for it. We went to the beach in the morning. Maybe I was sleepy. I was ready to eat some dinner last night. I don't know. I could have just been in the wrong headspace for this, but I was almost like, which I never feel too much. I'm like, let's go. Come on. I'm tired of seeing some of the 18th fight between Ginger and Ace. I'm kind of done with it. And it started to like
Yeah.
really grate on me a bit.
Okay.
But then there's parts of the movie that really pull me back in and I love. And like when they show up in the desert and they have that meeting, I'm back.
Yeah. You motherfucker, you go over my head again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. You motherfucker, you. um, so I don't know. I mean, there are parts of this that I find really fascinating from a historical perspective, or like a procedural at the beginning, like how how a casino works. I find that stuff pretty interesting,
Yeah.
and it felt like Marty really played it faithful to real life and how casinos work. That this it almost felt like a stylized documentary in a way, and I feel like he elevated what could have been an extremely boring story. And but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this coming away from it at the very end of it.
I think even more so than in real time,
Mhm.
you and I are feeling the effects of it not being as good as Goodfellas
It's
because of
not.
how closely we've watched these together. We don't have the 4 years or whatever. We had a week and a half
Yeah.
between watches. And when you do that, it just doesn't hold up. And not that it's bad. It's a good movie. It's a well done movie. There's interesting characters, but there's
Yeah.
just something special
Yeah.
about Goodfellas, that little extra oomph that's missing from Casino.
And maybe I don't know. The weird thing is like the performances are good.
Very good.
All of them are very
Everybody
good.
killed it.
But for some reason, they're not pulling me into the world like they did in Goodfellas. And I don't know what that is. And I don't know why, because I think I think De Niro's really excellent in this movie. Pesci is doing, he's almost doing Tommy again. But I don't know what it is. Maybe the weird thing, I don't know, maybe we should talk now about the Sharon Stone Ginger. Like,
Sure.
that is such a thankless role to play the psychotic, drugged out, tying your daughter to the bed, just every scene screaming and crying role. Like, that is thankless. She makes you really hate her in this movie. Like,
Yeah.
she does a
Yeah.
really great job of that. But it is something that it's so good in a way that it like pushes me away as a viewer, where I feel like Karen really pulled me into the Goodfellas story and brought me a new perspective into Henry and this mob life. And for some reason, like that character just draws me in. And the Ginger character, I was just like, I need a 10-minute break in this movie from Ginger.
Yeah. Well, you don't get the Ginger perspective. Not really.
You
Like
don't
in
at all.
Goodfellas, you get the Karen narration.
Hmm.
You get scenes with just her in them
Yeah.
where she's kind of building on that world. Whereas even the scenes with Sharon Stone and, her ex-boyfriend or just her daughter, like, there's no perspective. It's just her in that thankless role doing shitty things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's a tough role. But I don't know. Do you feel the same that the like I can't put my finger on why the characters don't work the same, even though the performances are great. I don't know. Do you even agree with that?
It's I don't wanna say it's that they don't work the same. I think it's that their purpose is different. And with, Sharon Stone, or I'm sorry, with Karen Hill, her role there is to bring you into this world. There's an inherent likability to her. There's almost an empathy they try to build towards what Karen's going through,
Totally.
even though it's, by choice. Whereas with Sharon Stone and the Ginger character, she's not in she's not there to engage with you the same way Karen was. So I don't think, like, to say it doesn't work the same, I just think it's not like a true comparison.
Yeah.
But I think the performances, like, you can compare the performances, but the purpose of the character is so different that you can't really,
So different.
be like, oh, this is the Karen character. It's like, no, not really. This is different than that.
Yeah. I
Does
mean,
that make sense?
yeah, totally. I mean, at the end of Goodfellas, you are in a way cheering or at least hoping that Karen does not walk into that building that Jimmy is pushing her into. You
Mhm.
want her to get away and have some semblance of a happy life after this. I don't wish ill of Ginger, but I'm not. You're the movie is not setting you up to cheer or empathize with Ginger at all. Like it is
No.
making explicit choices to make you dislike this person and this character. And I think maybe a big foil to this is, uh, yeah, I mean her relationship with Lester. this this guy is. I mean, James Woods never plays a nice guy in a movie. This is something where when you said this could have been shorter, there is a point where I'm like, okay, at the time you get 2.5 hours or longer in a movie, at this point it's like 15, 10 minutes, whatever. It's like I'm almost like, how do we cut an hour out of this? Like it's either we're coming in under two or we're just gonna be a long movie. Like one
Yeah.
or the other. And I'm like, I was having this thought of, do we really need the Lester plot line? And I say that as someone, the only reason I want to keep that is because I find that Lester fighting with the daughter like really hilarious when
The
Ginger's
adults
on
are
the phone.
speaking.
Like I find that stuff really, I don't know. It adds some good levity there. And I get there's like an importance to like Ginger's infidelities and not loving Ace, but I'm like, could we have just cut this out maybe?
Or some of it out. Yeah. I don't know. It's when I think about things like that, sometimes, especially when we watch one-off movies, I feel comfortable giving my take there. But to second guess decisions that Martin Scorsese
Totally.
made feels a little silly coming out of my mouth because, I'm not a movie expert. But that said, in this case, I do agree that some of that felt like it didn't really add to the story in a meaningful way.
Totally. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm not giving notes to Martin Scorsese on anything in life.
Sounds like you are, Randy.
Well, I think what I wanted to
I'm
do
kidding.
was because I had a very similar thought process to what you just explained. And I didn't want to come on here and just be like, this movie should have been shorter and just lobbed up that criticism with nothing to back it up. And I tried to actually think through what didn't work for me that I would like to remove if I could from this and at least give it the due diligence to like think through that a little bit myself. So that was like just kind of where I landed. But I don't know. I mean, that phone call at the wedding, that's just diabolical stuff. like, like when are you getting out of this, Ace?
See, that felt like it added to the plot. One, I'm gonna jump back to this point. It's like those phone calls that they show intermittently, a
Yeah.
couple of those diner scenes worked amazing. But some of those extended scenes are the ones that I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I don't feel like this is helping. But to your point about what you just said, it is crazy that on the night like of their wedding and then those scenes in the diner, like Lester's lucky he several times over that Pesci didn't come after him.
I know. I don't really understand. I mean, and it's hard to nitpick true life events. I don't really remember if there was a Lester person in the book, if I'm completely honest.
There was, but not nearly in the same way.
Yeah. Because if I recall from the book, I thought she ran away for a bit with Nikki, aka Tony Spilatro, and that's when that phone call happened, not with a Lester runaway. And then she came back. I can't remember, honestly. The names all blended together. But the one thing I just kept thinking, I was like, what is the draw to this creepy guy? And I think there are some undertones of this guy groomed her from a young age, and there's some deep-seated trauma going on
Oh,
between
yeah.
Ginger and Lester. But you see it in this movie on like face value, and you're like, what are you doing with this? Like, what is even happening here?
Yeah.
It's hard to make the leaps of throwing away everything for this dude Lester.
Yeah, but I mean, even in the movie, you can see how emotionally abusive and manipulative he is. And I think
Yeah.
James Woods did a pretty good job of really nailing how much of a scumbag they wanted this Lester character to really be.
Yeah.
And that phone call is probably the perfect example of what we're talking about.
Totally. Yeah, it's just so interesting how someone like Ginger, whose main motivation seems to be pretty superficial, fueled things, wants to throw that all away for this Lester guy. And simultaneously, Ace, they set up in the movie as super perceptive, goes to the extra mile to figure out all these sports betting, tips and trades, and knows everything about everybody. Can't make a can't see the red flags right in his face with the person he's hitching himself to. That could really bring him. I mean, the two people in his life, he is so control freak with everything in his life, but when it comes to his best friend and who he chooses to marry, I mean, he bets on two horses that are his downfall. I don't know. The irony there is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about it a little bit in the book. He, especially on like the alcoholism and drug addiction thing, not really taken as seriously as it is now back in the 70s. So he kind of says, what did I know about being an alcoholic? Everybody drank a lot. Like,
Mhm.
and then thinking he would just change her. It's a pretty misogynistic viewpoint that probably led to that. And then I don't really think he had a choice with Nikki. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he even said, they say that in the movie, and he kind of alluded to it in the book. It's like, he kind of just had to let Nikki do what Nikki was going to do. He didn't really get to say yes or no or choose any of that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess even in the real story, they were childhood best friends, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So it's not like, at the age of 30, he was just
He's
like,
making those choices.
let me make a new best friend here. But yeah, it's really hard. I mean, I don't know. I looked up the real Lefty Rosenthal to see a photo of him and, Ginger in real life. Not it. Yeah. I don't know how to say it in a kind way. I was like, this was a guy who was completely blinded by getting some power and wanting to marry a beautiful woman. And there was nothing more to it than that.
Yeah, he's
not a looker. We'll put it that way.
He's not a looker. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, you think at some point, because some of these flags are right out there in the open, that he would make a better decision at some point along the way, but he never does. He never does. I guess by the end, maybe, but it was brutal. One thing I want to talk about, because it happened in Goodfellas as well. Gotta say, I don't know if the voiceovers work for me as much here, or at least the extent of them. I think by hour 3, I was starting to get a little exhausted with the constant narration, and it just doesn't I felt like it was used more with a more deft hand in Goodfellas,
Mhm.
and I felt it over relied a little bit on it here through a much longer movie. And I don't know if it completely worked for me.
Yeah, I agree, and I think for me, this is a character-driven story. I don't need all of the narration. Let the characters be on screen. Let the characters show me. Don't tell me, "Let this happen." Whereas in Goodfellas, it's it's like a setting-driven story with a narrator, right? That has to give you context to events because you're jumping around a lot. You're coming and going through different storylines, and this person's weaving it together for you. It feels very different and because of that, and I agree that I didn't need all of the narration in this one. I think it's a very fair point.
Yeah. Yeah, just it could have been dialed back a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit for me. You have anything to say on, the other 2 lead performances in this that we haven't said with Pesci and De Niro?
It's Pesci and De Niro doing Pesci and De Niro things.
Yeah.
Go listen to the Goodfellas podcast, and you'll know exactly how I feel about them, and I think they were great. They are 2 people that truly encapsulate, the this era of storytelling with, you know, the mob and
Yeah.
the mafia and, this they're just like essential, not only characters, but actors for the genre. Same thing here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good lineage between their other mob fairs together. I always laugh seeing Pesci roughing up guys because he he is so tiny. When he has to do, like, the jump when he punches, I just always laugh. Like, he does a good job at coming off menacing and off the rails, but you think at some point somebody would have just been able to clock him once.
I don't know, he's a pretty scary guy
Yeah.
in all of these films.
Yeah, he really is. I really like De Niro in this. I think he's really solid. I mean, well, you could say that about every single De Niro movie ever, but
Yeah.
he was just such a focal point in this one. Did a great job at it. Scenes. This is another tough one like Goodfellas because the scenes are so short and there's like 1,800 of them spread across 3 hours where you're just moving and moving and moving that nothing's really drawn out. Any stick out to you that you really enjoy in this
There
one?
are, I think, 3 obvious choices for best scene,
Yeah.
and we've talked about all of them, I think, so far. The blueberry scene,
I had the blueberry
fantastic.
scene written down.
The scene with the meeting out in the desert. "You
Yeah.
motherfucker, you!"
Yeah.
Yeah, that is classic.
Mhm.
And then the scene where De Niro tells the guy how stupid he thinks his brother-in-law is and why he fired him and why he won't hire him back. It's it's at one point, it's classic De Niro where he's like, "I can't have it. I can't have it," right?
Yeah.
Everyone can picture him saying that line. "I just can't do it." But then he goes, "He's incompetent. He's whatever,"
Yeah.
It's just he just rattles it off. I was dying.
The guy doesn't disagree with him.
No, the guy actually agrees with him. He's like, "What about further down the trough?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Maybe."
Yeah, I forget what he says back. He's like, he's as useful as tits on a bull or something
Tits
hokey
on a
that someone
hog,
with a
yeah.
cowboy hat wears or says.
He's about as useless as tits on a hog.
Yeah, that's the type of scene too where I was thinking, could they remove some of this infighting between the I don't even know what you call the more OG Vegas people, you know, who are in council, the older families there. But I wouldn't want to lose a scene like that. So it is tough when you start figuring out where do you slice in this?
Right.
Because there are great parts that you don't want to lose in these plot lines, and that's one of them. I really like too it's pretty early in the film, the Ichikawa scene, just showing how the casinos work in that
Oh,
Japanese
yeah.
businessman came and fleeced them for like $2 million. And they delayed his plane. They said there were trouble. He couldn't get another flight back to Japan, so he's got to stay another night at the casino. And through a story, they show us a real example here of how Vegas and the casinos always win in the end. You can the people they can get one over on them. They can have a good night, a good weekend, a good hand, but in the end, the house is going to win.
Yeah.
And they're going through all these lengths to keep him there. And I just even love that when he's betting small and saying to him winning 10,000 is really losing 90,000 because he should have been betting more. And eventually he gives a million back that night. And I don't know, there's something that I really loved about that scene to drive home the point of why these casinos and why Vegas exists. I thought,
Yeah.
the cheater scene, I love the procedural aspect of how some of these cheating schemes worked with those two guys.
Oh, yeah.
What was they had a dealer who was, they said, what, weak-handed. He was showing his face card. There was another guy at another table looking at it. And what did he have? It was almost like a Morse code tapper,
That's
right?
exactly what it was. Yeah.
How does that
He's
even
signaling.
like what they both had something connected to them and he would feel the vibrations on.
Yeah. So now he would know the dealer's hand.
Yeah. Sticks a cattle prod in his arm. And I do remember that from the book when they talk about the vice. And I think his like eyeball pops out in the book. And yeah, it's gruesome stuff. But
Yeah, I don't ever want my head in a vice, I'll tell you that much.
no. Another small scene I really loved is when the agents are tailing Nicky while he's
In the
golfing,
plane?
and then they have
Yep.
to land the plane on the fairway.
Yep.
And they're just running through the backyard as De Niro's trying to have this meeting with I think the gaming commission about his license trial that's coming up. It cracks me up every time.
Oh my god, it's hysterical. $100 to whoever hits the plane.
The good De Niro scene for me too is when Ginger runs away with Lester. He eventually brings her back and he starts, De Niro's like, well, we'll get over this. It's okay. He's like, I took her out to dinner. I calmed down. And through dinner, he just starts winding himself up, thinking about the situation. And he's like, what did he want to spend the money on? Suits? How many suits? $1,000? He got 25 suits? He got tailored that fast? Oh, we got him a watch too. Oh, what type of? He's just like working himself up so much in this situation. I think it's just De Niro just kind of snowballing in a scene. I love that one.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite in the movie if you had to pick just one?
The blueberries.
Yeah,
There's just like a neuroticism about that I
Yeah.
think is hysterical. And it's a serious scene, but also really funny. And it closely beats out the scene of him telling that guy that his brother-in-law is a fucking moron. It closely beats that out for me. But those were my two favorites, and I'm gonna go with the blueberries.
Yeah. I do like that scene because it's centered around the portion of the movie where we're learning a lot about how these casinos work.
Yeah, and it's cool.
Yeah, it's
That
cool.
whole sequence was really interesting
Yeah.
to what you were saying.
Yeah, I do like that one. It's funny that I had written down that same exact scene because
I knew you were gonna like
I
that
don't know
scene.
why, it just makes me laugh. And just the flash to the chef of like, that's going to take a really long time. It's just like classic boss stuff. Real good. Yeah, I don't the desert scene too always sticks out to me. Those two are really up there for me when Nicky and Ace have their initial falling out.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked. Ginger being with Nicky, I'm like, that's almost a bridge too far for me as well. Like some of their love scenes kind of slipping into Anakin Padme for me. I'm like, just please stop.
Yeah, that's another spot where it could have I mean, it's important and it needs to be mentioned because there were a lot of real world implications because of that, but you don't need to like build that out.
Yeah. Yeah, that one just tough. We didn't give a best casting yet. Who takes the cup home for best performance in this for you?
I'd give Best Actor to De Niro and Best Supporting Actress to Sharon Stone.
Yeah. Yeah, De Niro's the obvious one.
It's his story.
Yeah.
He's the one that really is the central focal point here.
Yeah. Yeah, it is strange. It's funny because Sharon Stone was the only one nominated at the Academy Awards in this entire movie.
I believe that.
I believe it too. And it
Well, I mean,
is,
true, I guess
on
there's
an
nothing to not
initial
believe,
watch, it is
but
hard to respect the Ginger character. But as I've gotten older and as I watched this back yesterday, I do really respect how unlikable someone can make themselves with
yeah.
just all for the love of the game.
And someone who's so likable in so many of her other films.
Yeah.
To just pull this performance out was really great.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't have too many cinematography soundtrack notes. I mean, it looks good. The Vegas production design, all the outfits are really fun in this. I think they capture
Yes.
the tackiness. I mean, De
The
Niro's
70s.
wardrobe, maybe the best De Niro wardrobe all time.
Let me just say this. I am so glad I didn't grow up in the 70s because the fashion was ridiculous and the interior design makes me want to barf. Like, it's awful. His house
Yeah,
is so tacky.
it's so tacky. I think a lot of that aura before I went to Vegas, that aura of it was always like a real turnoff for me.
Mhm.
As I experienced it and become more accustomed to maybe there is a little bit of tongue in cheek to this now. I'm a little bit more of a fan of it, but I agree.
Okay.
You look at some of this stuff and you're just like, oh my God. Like it's like classic, just new money trying to showcase their money and it just looking disgusting.
Gaudy.
Just so
Yeah.
gaudy. Um, also really love that fur coats like that have really fallen out of style. Like when he gives her the chinchilla coat, I looked up what a chinchilla looks like. I'm like, these are like adorable little things. Why do we
Yeah.
need to make a coat out of this?
Dude, you have to, like, kill so many chinchillas to make a coat.
Yeah.
It's just get one. They're so small. They're not expensive
Yeah.
to feed. Like, just pet it when you need to feel something soft.
I know. Yeah. The the only thing I wanted to shout out in the cinematography was the inside the straw cocaine shot. This was wild. Where it
Oh,
like goes
yeah.
inside the tube, snorting it up. Also, when Ginger is doing it in front of her daughter and is like, looks at her and is like, "Don't do this." It's like
Yeah, dude,
Gin-
Ginger.
Ginger
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
You have any nitpicks or anything else you want to get off with this movie?
No, I didn't really have many, like, nitpicks. It just kinda got long. I felt some things didn't work for me. Overall, it's a fairly reliable adaptation of the story. So from that standpoint, I would rate it highly. From a purely entertainment value, it ranks probably closer to, like, a 6.5 out of 10 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a 7 out of 10 if I'm in the right mood, but as an adaptation of that book, even though I know they kinda came out together and they're adapting just the story together, it's solid at, like, 8.5. Like, it was pretty true to what we were talking about with Nicholas Pileggi, so
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
kinda where I land.
It's pretty faithful. It
Mhm.
it's just overall a bit bloated for me in terms of the storytelling, and like we talked about, the characters don't draw me in quite the same way. Where if I'm gonna spend 3 hours, I have to feel some emotional connection to the people I'm spending
Yeah,
that time with, and I really did not here. Or the story is so enthralling that I need to see how it plays out, and I didn't really feel that in this, and maybe that was a product of this. I don't know. Maybe I'd seen this before, so I knew it was coming. I just listened to the book. We just watched Goodfellas. There's so many factors to like why maybe this didn't land the way I thought this movie used to land for me. But I just felt my heart wasn't super, super into it this time around. And
yeah,
it's well done, good performances, but it's definitely something where I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to return to this again. I don't have
probably
I don't
another
have a ton of
15 years.
interest.
Yeah.
If you could give one Oscar out for this movie, who would you give it to? Or what
Sharon
category?
Stone.
Get her the supporting?
Yeah. Did she win it that year?
She did not.
Who won it?
Let me see. This would have been the 1990. Also, we didn't talk about what a year for De Niro, because this was the same year as Heat.
Whew.
And I
Heat
think
was
that also knocks this down for me. Or I know we're not, there's no reason to compare these movies, but it's just they had the same year, De Niro. Heat, an absolute all-timer for me.
It has one of the best scenes of like cinema ever.
Yeah, their diner scene.
The diner scene.
So good.
Yeah.
Best actress, in a supporting role. She's not even listed here. Or was she just best actress? Oh yeah, she was best actress in a leading role. So Susan Sarandon won for Dead Man Walking. Never seen it. Elizabeth Shue, Leaving Las Vegas. I have seen that. Meryl Streep for The Bridges of Madison County, and Emma Thompson for Sense and Sensibility. A lot of movies I've heard of, but I've never seen. If I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, I've never seen Dead Man Walking. It's got Sean Penn in it too.
Yeah, I like Sean Penn.
Might be worth a watch. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd give it a shot. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I would give. Now, if I could give this one Oscar, I would probably give it to either the costuming or the production design. I think they did they did a great job here. I mean, they captured that.
Okay.
Especially De Niro's house, even though, like we said, it's not the style I would want. I really love the scene set in there, in the backyard and the pool. It really gave you that Vegas, Palm Springs almost vibe to it.
Yeah. But God, it was awful.
Yeah, it was bad. What are you giving this out of 25? You said you were saying for the movie like a 6. I don't know what that would translate to. I was kind of in the ballpark of a 17.
Yeah, I think 17 feels right.
Yeah, it felt harsh,
So
but I don't know.
A 30. I'll go 18 to get it to a 35 out of 50 because I feel like a 6.5 is right there. Actually, I think I went the wrong way. I think I have to lower that to make it to get there. But like a 6.5 out of 10, whatever that equates to out of 25.
Yeah. Yeah, just I don't know.
Like a 16.5 out of 25.
I think we just set ourselves up for failure with the actual narrative of this movie, which was people felt Marty was dipping right back into a too similar of a well with characters playing too similar of roles. I mean, we just did these back to back.
Yeah.
And this is a fine movie, but for me personally, it's no Goodfellas.
No, it's not. Maybe we should have done like Donnie Brasco.
I know.
Something totally different.
I had that exact thought today. I was like, we should have just done Donnie Brasco instead.
Forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not upset, we did this one.
Because then we could have done the Pacino thing.
Yeah, if I had a do-over, I would.
And compared that to because, he's in Heat with our boy here, but he, for the most part, I guess Godfather 2, he was also in with him, but it feels like they're kind of separate mob actors and like mob acting groups. And,
yeah, that
would have been interesting to cover.
Maybe we run Mafia May back next year. Donnie Brasco, fire something else up.
Yeah. I mean, The Godfather's a book.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that'd be a big one. That'd be a big Mafia May. But we'd double dip on Pacino there, but that's okay because those are two.
I mean, we double dipped this time.
Yeah,
on De Niro and Pesci.
Yeah,
so.
We double dipped on a double dip. 2 actors, 2 movies. Pesci or Pacino. We haven't done any Pacino yet. I don't think so.
We will talk about Pacino though when we talk about Val Kilmer when we do Heat.
Yeah, this was our 3rd Scorsese movie. I think he's in first place for directors that we've done on the show by a long shot.
By a long shot over DV.
No. I guess we've done both Dunes. So we have 3 Scorsese, 2 DVs.
And we're going to do a 3rd DV.
Enemy?
With that movie I sent you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point the next Dune is coming out. Who knows when. We could also maybe talk about Sicario on the action-themed episodes.
That would be dope. Sicario is awesome.
Yeah, we just watched Arrival pretty recently too. Really like Arrival as well.
Oh, Arrival's fantastic.
It's one of in terms of recent sci-fi movies, wholly original. one of the best we've had in a really long time. That's not building off
Definitely.
pre-existing work.
I saw that in theaters twice.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. Mind bender at the end. Wow. But this is an Arrival podcast, so I'll stop there. Anything else you got to say before we wrap this one up?
Nothing.
Nothing, yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. Mafia May has come and gone. Sounds like we'll be bringing it back next year. I said we lock that in. Donnie Brasco and The Godfather. That'd be a banger month.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, in terms of what else is coming up on the feed soon, we're going to have our Val Kilmer episode. We'll continue along with The Last of Us coverage. We'll be hitting episodes 5 and 6 this upcoming week. Or I guess when you hear this, it'll probably have been last week. And then we'll be hitting the finale. And that'll be done. June, in terms of main episodes of the pod, we got How to Train Your Dragon coming out. Can't remember quite what is next after that. I know we're thinking Jaws for the summer. We'll do kind of
Gone Girl.
Gone Girl. There's that new Stephen King adaptation, The Life of Chuck, another short story, Stephen King. So that could be a light read. That'd be nice. We've been doing a lot of reading lately.
Yeah.
I'm really catching up on my Goodreads goal with
there you go.
The past few months. This book helped a lot. It's like 2 days in and out, add one to the column.
What is your Goodreads goal?
I think I did 28 this year.
28? Okay.
Yeah. I'm at 10 or 11 now. So I guess if I'm on pace, I got to get to 14 by the end of June.
Yeah, you better buckle up.
I got to amp it up. Yeah, I've been reading the Val Kilmer biography. Interesting. I'll bring some thoughts on that
When are you reading the second and third Twilight books?
I don't know. I don't want to lose. I just got to be ready to get back into that world. That's going to be a lot. My algorithm is just serving me up so many. I sent you probably at least one Twilight meme on Instagram a week these days.
Yeah, that's about right.
My algorithm is just really feeding it to me. I was cracking up at that scene where they're like playing hacky sack or soccer.
Phantom
There's no
hacky sack,
actual
yeah.
ball. They're just kicking their feet around in the air. I was like, in this movie, it does it to itself. But yeah, I mean, Nick already shouted him out. If you want to reach out to us, you can get us at rewatchplaypod@gmail.com, Instagram, rewatchplaypodcast. Find us on all your major platforms, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your pod. Check the show notes, find it all there. Please rate and review 5 stars only. And most importantly, tell your friends about it. Thanks to everyone for listening. Nick, thanks for joining me for Mafia May.
It's been fun.